It's my first time being in this on this stage with more technical people than I do. So when I was told then I have to have a conversation about the future or experiential or redesigning and being ready for the future, I wasn't sure which would be the best use case to take. So I decided to settle for banking because a decade plus, that's where I've been, that's what I've done, that's what I know better. So I'll make lots of reference to banking, and I'll try not to use local players here, and I won't give any names, so then I don't get caught up with the discussion about you painted my bank better, my bank was, in that kind of scenario. Now coming in immediately after lunch, if I wasn't presenting, I would be taking coffee. I assume most of you want to take coffee. Could I request you just stand up and do one energizer? It's actually not an energizer. I'm just trying to get my stage fright in order and to relax. I'm hoping I can get your attention in the process.
Sky got the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. I'm on top of the world. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate plans.
Could we stretch a little? Yeah, thank you. So that's actually a cheese advert, some cheese company in the States. The reason why I put it up, apart from the joke, is just to show the story about the experience and the resilient story about a cheese company that started off as a family, built up dairy farm, grew up, and then at one point they were dead, considered dead. They reinvented themselves, sold the same product, and what showed out of that result is a cheese company existing to date, purely selling the same product, but just changing the experience about delivery. So I mentioned I'll try to talk about banking as the use case because banking is the field I'm familiar with. And it's too busy of a slide, but just to give you the history about banking or where we are going with banking, where banking has come from. Starting in the late or mid-70s, you can be sure I wasn't born then. The key drivers then, and I just highlighted just to show you the kind of conversation we're going to have as we dig deeper, is on the software architecture, usability, data, and scalability. So, you can look at this and see the evolution that has happened in the banking industry to what today in agriculture is called agrarian revolution, moving to whatever it is. In banking, we call it the fourth generation banking. So critical in this conversation, we came from monolithic architectures, went into towers, moved from towers to APIs, and now to microservices. Yeah, and we had a good favor, a good honor with the previous session that was here talking about open banking, data, personalization, which I'll briefly go into to just then show how we digital native solutions are redefining the future of banking. The second one that I'll spend more time about is on usability. In the 1970s, banks were actually opening at 9, not even at 5. By 3 p.m., they will be closed, and purely because of the fear that would happen when the sun is going down, security goes higher, you become more insecure. When the sun comes up, you're better. Then it moved from branch-based business opening between 9, moved to 24 hours, nearly round-the-clock services in the 90s. In the 80s, evolved to transaction-based where, almost real-time or same-day transactions, you still do that at registers and stuff. And in the 20s or 2010, post 2010, we've seen where we have almost real-time transactions going through. That's in terms of usability. Data has become very key. The evolution of data has been from having very siloed data, moving into indexing, relational, and now we have shareable and very intelligent data. That's what we're going to focus on, and then scalability. Today, we are at the point where we're talking about elasticity and no longer talking about vertical, planned, horizontal, whichever it is. So I will leave this slide here because at some point we'll be talking about the benefits of the fourth generation banking and how we'll get there and how that ties back to the experience. So the first question I would pose as we settle in is about organization readiness. How ready is our organization? How ready are organizations, and how will it survive to thrive in the digital world? We live in a world where the unknowns are never ending. Our ability to embrace the demand is becoming more of a prerequisite for success. This is both true at an individual level. Both you and me have to worry about our careers and how we reinvent ourselves, and both also at an organizational level. For companies and institutions that we lead and work within, we are the guys who provide that thought leadership and must be really prepared for the future. Given this reality, what strategies will it take to keep pace in the environment you operated, one in which individuals and businesses are expected to pivot rapidly towards new ways of working? The hard question we should all ask is, am I up for this as a leader and as a participant? Can I do what it takes to succeed in a continuously evolving environment? And will I? This is the kind of transformation that if you look at what has happened over the years, in the last 70s to 20s, that's about what? About 4 decades. That's the question we should ask. At the same time, I believe there's great energy and possibility in all this. Once we accept the truth that change is ongoing, therefore, then it becomes an opportunity and less about a challenge. If we have the flexibility, the will to evolve, and the courage to shift up, change becomes more stimulating, exhilarating, and something to embrace. Back to the banking environment, legacy banks, and when I talk about legacy banks, I'm talking about the 42 banks we have today. Have in the past treated digital banking as a subsegment or a segment of customers who are only considered as alternate customers looking to go out of the branch to transact. The penetration of internet banking and smartphone has been up, and our customers have adopted it. So we cannot divorce any digitization effort from the need to be customer-centric and think like a customer. Most organizations and banks in particular, or financial institutions in particular, remain resultantly organization-centric and rather than customer-centric. In fact, the right word to use would be most of the organizations are alien, counterintuitive, and they believe the obsession with customer experience will not lead to stronger profit growth, because in the short term, it may not. And until they work to perfect the process, the focus will not lead to immediate benefit. So that's why sometimes, even in our budgeting process, experience or customer experience or design is not considered as a critical component that is given focus, right? So how are digital solutions reshaping the future of banking with the overarching goal on experience? I want to take you then to just the 4 building blocks I would consider, based on the research and the experience I have in the market, that we're going to define organizations that are future-ready and organizations that will be relevant in today's market and prepared to conquer the uncertainties that comes with the future. So the first pillar here is on data. To survive, financial institutions and banks in particular need to be able to assemble digital solutions for harnessing data to benefit their customers. Data has to be readily available, sometimes in real time, and fed into systems that are able to generate patterns, designs, and insights that therefore can be customized, and is sometimes called hyper-customization or hyper-personalization, to be adaptable for the future, which is going to be a platform-based business, right? So if I would call it, and with experience from banking, put it another way, banks are nothing without, or financial institutions are nothing without data. With the commoditization of banking products and services, and then neutralization of access to banking as a competitive differentiator, the battleground has shifted. And data and the use of it is going to be the key engagement pillar. I have broken this down into 4 components. Acquire, generate, get insights, and engage, all right? Differentiator between what we define at some point as legacy banks or digital banks has been on products and processes. In fact, the previous generation called it the 6 Ps of growth. That was people, products, promotion, place, and process. This is now what is evolving to experience business. The capabilities we require to achieve those 4 components of ability to transact, generate, get insights, engage with objective to acquire is the capability that is going to be the differentiator. If you go to transact as a subset of data, and I'm just going to dig deeper into these so that we tie back what is the component that data provides into platform business and getting us to be future ready. Around 90% of the transactions we have in the financial institutions are purely made of bill payments, transfers, transactions, and balances. Through the use of technology, chatbots included, and the previous panel just talked about it, banks are also inventing the experience we want to do. And the objective here is so that we can have simpler, faster, and more accessible to our customers, all right? So transactions historically have been residing in the bank. We've seen the evolution from transactions residing in financial institutions to getting into alternate providers, bureaus included, telco included, and the social media industry, if I'll call it so. Ability then, once you've transacted, you are getting to generate data, which serves as the foundation of understanding customers and anticipating their needs. Today, not all banks have a central data store to keep necessary information, or at least not all banks have invested in that infrastructure to maintain such an operation. The engagements we have before, and we're going to have continuously, is the migration where we are coming from very monolithic or on-prem devices, on-prem data warehouses to the cloud. Construction of these data sources, therefore, is essential for the next business model or the current business models we will start building up on. Fintechs, for example, have gone a step further, and purely because of the ability to move a little faster with limited regulation in the past, and we've seen adjustments currently in our market where the regulator is coming to want to control that data. Once you have the data, you've created this data repository. We then move to the third pillar in the data to get insights. Insights therefore is then building the foundation for being able to customize and start designing for platform business, all right? And the platform business, we are looking at it 2 fronts, the core back-end solution and the front-end solution. That's why when we're talking about platform business or digital native solutions, we are trying to cut across from both divides. Through the data generated, financial institutions can leverage on predictive analytics and understand every action behind the thought process of that journey the customer went through. Okay? The choice to leverage on this goes beyond the insights you generated and acquiring any available alternate data. And I want to move then to the second pillar. That's on the alternate scoring data. We have gotten attention of the first user. We've customized the journey for them. We are able to then reach out to them. Do we have sufficient data from a financial perspective? The alternate data we're looking at is data not residing in a financial institution. This is, therefore, moving us to the second stage where we're going to customize products. Unsecured lending is a critical pillar that is going to be a differentiator between conventional bank and the neobanks, if I call them so. Unsecured lending will be successful premised on algorithms that we're going to build on the data we've had, and then we're going to generate new advent of customers who traditionally will never visit our branch. The third bit is on design. So design is vital in business, particularly because it is the foundation of every technology you're going to put in our infrastructure. It starts from how then I get through the door, which is about onboarding experience, and the innovation that I'm going to put through to provide products to the customer. We have to get the job done. The job will get done if I get the right customer into the organization. As a degree of benefit, the focus changes right now from innovation to experience. And the reason why this is changing exponentially is because in the financial institution, for example, the differentiator for the longest time has been on lending and pricing. Today, in our industry, it's going to be nearly a flat pricing conversation. The differentiator from one institution to the next is now on the design, and that's how then the customization is going to land us back to uptake of our platform business or uptake of our digital solutions. The final bit, which is the core where all this we've spoken about, data, scoring, design, sits on, is in the core banking platform we're going to use. One key development I would like to focus on the core banking evolution is the advent or the emergence of industry standards. For example, BIN, the Banking Industry Architecture Network, which is a not-for-profit organization that has come work to set up a framework that would define the next use of APIs. And this is a sample which has been adopted in Europe in particular, where we've seen legislations around APIs and open API banking taking place. Today, most of the neobanks in Europe, give an example, particularly in Germany, Solaris, one of the neobanks there, has gotten to the point where they are not investing in any core banking platform sitting on their on-prem, but relying on the open banking as a service provided by the banks. What is then the big obstacle in the room towards achieving this as I wrap it up? First, for the incumbent banks, the big obstacle is that we'll face internally is to have a sponsor, someone who will have the belief in this conversation, make the investment in this organization, and sometimes when you don't even have data or clarity of how successful this is going to turn out. A lot of resources are going to be invested in this engagement, and the strongest rationale, particularly for incumbent banks to act, is in the conviction that this model would work, and it won't be possible if we don't invest in it now. 10 years from today, we will not be able to respond because the market will have shifted. I know our time is up, but the critical takeaway I'd like to give in summary, in an organization to achieve the experience you're looking for and the adoption of platform business, one, there must be a strong commitment at the very top to believe and protect the discussion in investing on digital business or platform business. There is no way to prove conclusively that it's going to work. So belief for this is critical conduit for success. The next obstacle is why do it at all? The threat is not immediate, so why not wait and see? After all, it will suck up a lot of our resources. And if you take the example of the Kodak business, the question they failed to answer, apart from taking the digital prints, was where were we going to share the physical photos? Today, we know where they're all at. So as we go back to our organizations, the question I'd want to pose for all of us, the challenge we have is getting the organization redesigned to adopt platform as a business and adopt experience as a conduit of success. I want to pause it here. Any questions? Any concerns? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.